Hey there YouTube, it's Jeff Perry here with the Better Than Average YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about fantasy football and how to be the best commissioner out there. Alright YouTube, it's middle July, and I know that's when a lot of you people start thinking about fantasy football. When am I going to do my draft? Where are we going to have the draft? Can everyone make the draft? You know, a lot of people start thinking about fantasy football the day after the Super Bowl. You know, I mean, especially if you're not a big basketball fan, but for sure at the end of the NBA Finals is when you really need to start thinking fantasy football, dates for the draft, etc. You know, I had a big 4th of July party. You know, you saw the fireworks there. So pretty much the day after the 4th is when I'm really starting to think fantasy football. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about being a league commissioner if you are the commissioner, and if you're not the commissioner, maybe these are some tips you can pass on to your commissioner to make your league a better league. You know, one thing I've always said is your league is only as good as your commissioner is. I've been a league commissioner pretty much every year since around 2008, so that's 8-9 seasons. I think I took one season off from being the commissioner, kind of handed those duties over, and then one year I didn't play. I had moved to South Texas and just didn't work out, timing and everything else. But we're going to start off with what I consider to be the top 10 tips to be the best commissioner you can be and to make your league as good as it can be. First things first, we've got to talk about some of the championships I've had over the years. I think my last championship run was in 2014. I had one in 2011 and 2012, and then also in 2009. My team, I own a team called Victoria's Secret. This is my helmet for my team. You can see here that I was the champion in 2011, so that's a big deal to me. 2012 as well. I didn't bring home the 2014 trophy from work. It's still on display for sure. But also we need to talk about the championship Dallas Cowboys. We know that this is their year, just like it is every year. Nothing has changed, so we're looking for a deep playoff run at minimum, and at best case for sure a Super Bowl appearance and a victory. First tip, let's get to the tips. First tip to be a great commissioner is choose the best draft date. How do you do that? You know, people got lives. You probably have at least 8 people in your league, maybe 10, maybe 12. Don't just go off what is good for you, okay? Go off what is going to be good for the entire league. In my league, not everyone works an 8 to 5, Monday through Friday type job, so I really got to investigate who's going to be off when and start thinking about that early on. So one of the things I like to do is put together a calendar of everyone's schedule, get this information. I'm going to find the best date where the most people are off on that date, because a lot of these guys are working shift work. So I found out that, you know, the 28th is going to be the best day this year for us. I got, you know, several of the guys off. The guys that aren't off can easily be covered. Next thing, you know, it's never a good league without facilitating trash talk. So how do you do that as a commissioner? How do you, besides talking trash to your opponent every week, how do you make sure everyone else is doing the same, and how do you facilitate that trash talk? One of the ways I like to do that on whatever league page you're using, ESPN, CBS, whatever, Yahoo, whatever it may be, if there is a way to do a league poll that you can facilitate trash talk. You know, one of the things we also do in my league is we set up a private Facebook page, because not everyone uses the online version of the fantasy anymore. That, you know, everyone's on their phone. It's a mobile app. That's how they do all their stuff. So one thing that everyone pretty much checks, hopefully everyone in the league has a Facebook account, but set up a private page. That'll go a long way for a lot of trash talk. On, you know, our page on Sunday is just blown up. People talking trash about their opponent, you know, getting screwed, Houston, Texas sucking, Dallas Cowboys winning, things like that. So set up a Facebook page that only you and your members of your league can view. Set it up early and encourage people, and basically encourage people to use it a lot. Use it for everything that you're going to use to communicate to the league, and you'll for sure be facilitating trash talk, which will take your league to another level. Number 3, top 3 tip, be fair. Anytime there's an important decision, don't have a voice in it. Don't veto trades just because you don't think they're fair. You know, one of the things that if I see a trade that just seems a little what I will try to do is take myself out of the vote, take the 2 parties involved, the two owners involved in a trade. I'll take them out of the vote. And then the last thing I want to do is put that to a vote of, hey guys, do we want to let this trade happen? So in my league, I got 10 people. That means there's seven owners that would vote on this, and we're all pretty fair. So no one can at least blame it on the commissioner that the trade didn't go through. So a lot of them, they go right through, they look fair, but there's one that just doesn't look quite right. Put it to a vote with everyone who has nothing to do with the trade, the commissioner and the two parties involved. Okay? And then anytime you yourself, the commissioner, are involved in a trade, always put it to a vote too. That way you're pretty, no one can come back and say, well, you approved your own trade. You gave everyone a chance to weigh in on that. And hopefully you don't have a bunch of punk kids in your league that are going to be vetoing every trade just because it's not for them or going to make their team better, right? And that kind of goes with tip 4, which is be transparent. Put everything to a vote. Everything, league rules, if you have to, the draft day, things like that. Set the league rules early in August, so when you send out invitations for the league that year via ESPN, CBS, Yahoo, whatever it may be, set the rules up in August. Give everyone early August. I'm going to send mine out next week, which is mid to late July, and everyone has a chance to weigh in on the rules, especially right before the draft. Let's get those right the day of the draft at the latest. I would really rather get it before that so people can set up and decide how they're going to draft. Is this league going to be heavy on rushing? Is it going to be heavy on wide receivers? Things like that. Number 5 tip is collect your league or your league dues early. No one wants to be tracking someone down, especially if they, are like set up 0-5 for the first 5 weeks. Tracking these guys down can be a hassle just for you, and you may have to come out of pocket to pay the winners out. So get the league dues early, get it before the draft if possible, but at the latest, get it at the draft. If you have to, assign someone a treasurer to keep the money. That way it's not your responsibility, but put all the money together, get someone to take it. Some people can do checks if they want. At the least, make them give you a check, not an IOU. And if they want to come back with cash later instead of that check, then trade the cash for the check. Other than collecting dues early, the next step, tip number 6, is you need to be paying out your winnings even faster. So when it comes down to the week 16, which most cases that's the last week you're going to play fantasy. No one plays on the week 17 in a real league. But you kind of have an idea who's going to be paid, at least the top 2 people for sure, because they're going to be in the final. If you're paying 3rd or 4th place, then you know who these guys are. So set up when you're going to pay these guys before it's even time to pay them. Don't be slacking on paying someone, because that never looks good. Always be fast, and if you're fast and courteous and you meet them halfway or you go to their house to deliver, you may even get a tip out of the deal if you're a great commissioner. So some people don't know etiquette when it comes to gambling and tipping people out, but a lot of people do, and you'd be surprised that you go to pay someone $800 that you might get 50, 60, $70 out of the deal, and really it should be more like 100. Also, next tip, tip 7. You need to replace trash owners, okay? Unless you're in a dynasty league, then you've been doing this since high school or college, and you've got the same group of guys, and it's just about being friends. Get rid of some trash owners, okay? So for the last 4 or 5 years, the bottom of the pack, it may have not been the guys that finished in last, but it was the guys that definitely checked out mid-season, weren't updating their lineup, weren't doing trades, weren't grabbing free agents off the waiver wire. Get rid of those guys. You want to keep your league as competitive as possible, even if that means it's harder for you to win. That's going to keep people coming back. And in our league, I literally have a waiting list to get into the league. So, and we've got a guy coming in this year. He's been waiting for a couple years to get in, so he's super happy. And I got some guys that just caused problems last year, so we got rid of one. One of them just kind of went away and moved off, so we got rid of them. But definitely get rid of the trash players or the trash owners every single time you can. In line with that, one of the things we do with our league goes into tip number 8 is set up a punishment for bad performance, okay? And it's not to ridicule, maybe it kind of is. Maybe it's not to ridicule the people who suck or had a bad season, because everyone has it. Injuries can ruin a fantasy team. We all know that. But you need to set up a punishment for last place or next to last, maybe even. In our league, one year we did a tattoo. Last year we did a tattoo, but the guy, he still wants to be in, and he didn't want the tattoo, so he literally bought out. He paid $500 to get out of the tattoo, which the league voted, put it to a vote, and everyone said, yeah, give me $50. So we did that, but have a punishment. This year we're going to do like a big bumper sticker, like literally 3 foot by 2 foot that goes on the back of your car that, it'll say something like I suck at fantasy in hot pink or something, but that set up a punishment, because that's going to keep your league even more competitive, because no one is going to want to get that on their car, or even worse, on their body if it is the tattoo. Okay, so set up a punishment. That's tip 8. Don't have bad performers. If they want to get out of it, leave that up to the league. Okay, tip number 9. This is to stay in the know with all teams. So look at all matchups, look ahead, understand every week which those key matchups are going to be. Don't get tunnel vision just because you're an owner. A lot of you guys that are fantasy commissioners are going to also be owners in the same league. Don't get tunnel vision with what you got going on. Even if you're having a critical matchup that week, point out on the Facebook page, some of the critical matchups for first place, second place, some that are going to be really even matched that are going to be great to watch. A lot of times I'll have a week where I think I'm going to dominate, and my matchup is not near as interesting as the matchup for first place, or 2 teams that are undefeated that are going head-to-head in week 4 or 5, or even more towards the end of the deal, especially if you have a tip number 8. If you took tip number 8 and you set up a punishment for bad performance, towards the end of the year, man, it can be really interesting to watch who's going to get that tattoo in week 15 or week 16. If you set it up for that. We actually do our bad performance setup just for the regular season. We don't count the playoffs. So whatever your regular season is before the playoffs, that's when we give ours. But those matchups can be great. Point those out and make sure everyone's watching them. It's really fun to kind of have a chuckle with the guys that are sitting in last, or decide who's going to be the dominant force in the league. So stay in the know with all your teams and highlight those key matchups for everyone to also be in the know. Last but not least, the last tip I have, tip 10, is you got to host a great draft party. So I think this is almost one of the most important things, being a good commissioner. So I'm actually going to do a video of our draft party, how we do it, and give you some tips just on that piece. But last tip of the day, for sure, host a great draft party, whatever that means to you. Like I said, look for another video here in a couple weeks. It's going to really dive down into this issue. Just a few key pieces real quick. You don't want to do it in a bar. You don't want to have it lame. You don't want to have all the women show up or anything like that. And you never, ever want to do a real draft party online, okay? No fantasy football draft online can be considered a real league. You got to do this in person. If you got to fly people out, if they got to cancel their wedding plans, whatever it must be, they got to show up if they want to draft. Otherwise, they just can't be in your league. So I'll get deeper into that here, like I said, in a couple more videos. I'm super pumped about fantasy football this year, just like every year. It's kind of a bad season for my basketball team. So, I've been watching LeBron and all them dominate the playoffs and Golden State, and it's just like, whatever. When is football starting, right? So stay tuned. Here in the next couple weeks, we'll have a couple more videos that have to do with fantasy football. So tune back in. Please subscribe if you like the channel. We're going to be talking about some great things in the coming months.